Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. If you're joining us for the first time, welcome. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And to all my returning subscribers, thank you guys so much. In today's video, I'll be sharing with you how to draft a perfect 720-degree boob-tube flare dress. If that's something you're interested in, keep on watching. This flare does not need any pleats. As you guys can see, it's looking full on its own. So make sure you watch the video till the end and don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Make the Boobtube flare dress, I'll be making use of this Dutch satin, pink Dutch satin. You can use any material of your choice. I'll be adding some net inside of it, just a little bit to add a little bit of volume, and then my lining. So to cut out the 720 flare dress, I'll be using this formula. If you are cutting out 360, so you're going to divide your waist circumference, whatever your waist circumference is, you divide it by 4. Whatever that is give you, you write it down. But if you are cutting out 720-degree flare, your waist circumference divided by 8. So that 8, where I get this 8 from is multiplying this 4 by 2, because remember we are multiplying this by 2. That's what gives us this 720. So we're using same formula. We times this by 2. It gives us the 8. So even if you are cutting out 1440-degree flare, it's the same formula. You multiply this 8 by 2, which gives you 16, because when you multiply 720 by 2, it gives you 1440. So, but in this video, I'll be showing you guys how to cut out this 720 flare dress. So, after dividing my 27 divided by 8, what we have is 3.37. So I'll be using this 3.37 to cut out my flare. So to cut out your flare, you're going to fold your fabric into 2, like this.
And then you fold it again into another 2. So basically we are folding this into 4.
So this is what we have. We have this side and we have this side. So you have this folded side and this folded side. So basically this fabric is folded into 4. So now the next thing we're going to do is to transfer this 3.37 inches into here to get the waist circle of our flare dress. Now we have 3.3 inches. I'm going to approximate this to 4 because of the sewing allowance, the side sewing allowance. That's why I'm going to approximate this to 4. So basically I'm adding like 0.6 to it. So in order to get that, so I'm going to curve my tape measurement like this. This is what we are working with. This 4 is what we are working with. So I'm going to make sure and curve my tape measurement in this C form like this to get my 4. This is one method to do that. And after getting that, I'm going to mark a point like this. The reason I mark this point is to make sure I have whatever I have here, I mark it here and here to give me a very corresponding C. Now that is one method. Another method is to measure down. What we have is 4. You divide it by 2, which is 2. So you mark down your 2 like this. You mark down your 2. You mark down your 2. So now this is what we have. But before you cut it out, you must make sure that what you have is exactly what you need, which is 4. You can see it exactly what I need. So you're going to cross-check, make sure it's exactly what you need before you cut it out. Now that we have this part, we have the waist size, we're going to measure out the length of the dress. So for the length of the dress, it's basically depends on how long you want it to be. Now the full length for this dress is 40 inches. I'll be subtracting the half length measurement, which is also known as the bodice measurement, 16 inches. So I will subtract that 16 inches from the full length. So what I'll be working with is 24 inches. So you place your tape measurement here. You can either do this to subtract the half length, or you subtract it there and just place it directly on your fabric. So you subtract your half length measurement from the full length of the dress. So whatever that it gives you, you mark it down. You mark it down. So when you subtract 16 inches from 40, you have 24 inches. So I'm going to mark down my 24 inches here. And then I'll be adding half inch allowance to it for the seam of the dress. So in allowance, so I'll be adding half inch to it. So basically I'll be marking out 24.5 inches. So now here's the thing, I'll make sure my tape measurement is on this point here. If you cannot get that right, you can use your pin to hold it together. So you can use your pin to hold the tape measurement and the fabric together like this. And just measure out your 24.5 inches. Just make sure your tape rule doesn't move from this circle. So you move it, you adjust it like that all through till you get a perfect circle for your dress. So this is what I have. So this side is 24.5 inches and this side is 24.5 inches. You guys can see. So whatever that you have here must be the same as the center and the side. So now I'll go ahead and cut it out. I'll firstly cut out the waist. I will use my pin to hold them together, the waist together like this. And then I will go ahead and cut the rest of the flare out. So this is what I have. I'll go ahead and open up one side. Remember, this is cut folded, like unfold. You can see. So I'll go ahead and open up one side. And this is what we have. You can see how full this is looking. You can see how full it. This flare doesn't need a pleat, doesn't need anything. The pleat, it's already pleated on its own. It's folding on its own. If you use this method, this is what you're going to have. It's going to give you this nice full flare. And if you check the waist measurement, you place your tape measurement and make sure it gives you exactly what you need. So it gives you exactly what I need and the half inch that I added to it for the allowance. So that's that. I will be cutting out another part. So we're going to call this one the front part. So you're going to call this one the front part. So we cut another part like this, exactly like this. The only difference will be that for the back piece, I'll be adding a zip allowance to it. So to cut the back part, I just went ahead and placed the front piece, the front flare on another fabric, and I used my pin to hold them together. So the difference is that for this back part, I added 1 inch allowance for it for the zip, and that's why you are seeing the space here. It's for the zip, but every other thing is the same. The length is the same, everything is the same. So I'm going to go ahead and cut it out now. So I'll go ahead and place a notch of my zip side. So I'm placing a notch on it for the zip allowance. And then I'll go ahead and open it up. So this is what we have. We have the front part, and then we have the back part. So this is one part for the back and the other part for the back. So the back is 2 pieces and the front is 1 piece. So I will set this aside and work on the upper parts. So for the upper parts, I'll be using this pattern, this Boobtube pattern that I drafted in my last video. If you haven't seen that, I will link it down below. You can click on it. I'm not going to be explaining it again in this video because I already did in that video. So I will link it down below. You can click on it to know how to cut a Boobtube pattern. So I'll be using this pattern to cut out my fabric. I went ahead to cut out all the pieces that I need. So I went ahead to cut out the back piece. I added my sewing allowance to it. This allowance you are seeing is my sewing allowance. Like I said, I did not add any allowance to the pattern when I was drafting this pattern. So I added the allowance on my fabric. And I also went ahead to notch out the dart for this top. So here's the dart. Here is the dart. So I will set this aside. I did same thing for the front piece. So for the front piece, I went ahead and cut out the pieces that I need, and I also added my allowance to it. So this is for the side front, and also the lining. I cut the same thing. What I cut on the fabric is the same thing as the lining. So this is the side front. And then this is the center front. The lining as well. So this is the center front. You guys can see it. So please, if you have not seen the tutorial on how I cut Boobtube pattern, please check it out. So this is what I have now. And then I'll go ahead and iron my hairstay into my lining. I'm not going to be ironing my hairstay into the fabric. I'll be ironing it into this, so to give the fabric a little bit of volume. So to cut out the flare lining, I'm just going to place my tape measurement here and measure out about 20 inches. So your lining shouldn't be as long as your flare unless you are turning it in. So just make sure you leave about 4 to 5 inches allowance before the end of your flare. So in my own case, I'll be using about 19 to 20 inches length for my lining. Putting my lining into 4, just the way we did for the flare, but the only difference is that I'm cutting out only 1 piece for the lining, not 2 pieces like the flare. So I'm folding it into 4. I'm going to measure out the length that I want, which is 20 inches. So for this waist area, you don't have to worry. Even if there is a little bit of allowance for your pleat, it's okay, because it's lining, it's not going to show, and it's going to even add more volume to the dress. So it's okay if there is room for pleat, you can put your pleat on the lining. So I'm going to measure out the 20 inches that I need here as well. So I'm just going to measure what I have here, which is 8.2 inches. 8.2 inches. So this side, as you can see, is wider than what we have on the flare. So because this is the all-round waist, I'm not cutting two of these, I'm only cutting out one. So there will be room for pleat. I'll be pleating this on the fabric later. So it's fine, it's really totally fine if you're lining. If there is room for pleat on your lining, that's okay. So I'll be pleating it little by little on the dress. So that's that. Now the last thing to cut is the net for the lining, because this person, the owner of this dress, wants it to be, you know, to have a little bit of volume and stuff like that. So I'll be adding the net. So the net will be starting from, I will leave space of 3 inches. I will leave 4 inches because she said she doesn't want the net to start from the waist. So I'll be leaving 4 inches. So the net is starting from this 4 inches. So I'll just be adding about 13 inches length of net. So it's going to be, my net will be added to the lining, not the dress. So my net will be added to the lining and not the fabric itself. This is my net. So this is the net that I'll be adding to my dress. It's just a little net, nothing too much. So she just wanted it to add a little bit of volume to her dress. So it's just this little net that I'll be adding to it. So that's just basically it about the cutting of this Boob-Tube flare dress. So now we're going to start joining them together. So we start off by joining the upper part, which is the bodice, the Boob-Tube area. Now what I'm going to do is to place the side front on the center front, just the way I'm showing you guys now. Then I will take it to the sewing machine and join them together. But before that, I'm using my pin to hold them together. So use your pin to hold them together, so it's become easier for you to join them together. So I will repeat same thing to the other side. So I repeat same thing on the other side as well. So I'll just go and stitch it all round like that. So I will also hold my back dart, the dart that we notched earlier. So I'll take it to the sewing machine and hold my back dart, just the way I'm showing you right now. So this is what I have after joining the side together. So I went ahead and joined the front and the back side together. Now we're joining the flare. For the flare, you're just going to take the back piece and the front piece, join the two sides together, just like this. So I'm just going to use my pin to hold them together, so it's become easier for me to join. So you can also do same thing. You hold them together, you take it to your sewing machine and join them together. I repeat same thing on the other side as well, so the whole flare can become one. You know, we have 3 pieces, but after joining them together, it becomes one piece. So this is what I have after I was done joining them together. You can see the side, everything is neatly joined together. So the next thing I'm going to do is to get the center piece of the flare. That's where you see me creating the notch on the flare. So I'm going to create the notch at the center of the upper part as well. Then I'll place the two center, the notch area together. I'll use my pin to hold them together, and then I'll take it to the sewing machine and join the upper part and the flare together to form a single flare dress. So this is what I have after I was done joining them together. So I've joined the upper part and the flare part together, so it's become a one Boobtube piece. So I also went ahead and used my lining to turn the upper part, as you guys can see in the video. So now I will set this aside and then use my line. I would add my net to the lining, and then I will join the lining together with the dress. So guys, this is what the inside of the dress looks like. You can see how nice and neatly it's looking. Yes, if you join your lining like this, it's going to look exactly like this. So guys, this is the finished look of our Boob-Tube flare dress. It's very easy. You can see that the waist area does not have any pleat, and the flare is looking very full. So if you use this method, this is the outcome you're going to get as well. Make sure you try this. If you try it, let me know in the comment section if you're going to try this out. Let me know in the comment section, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet. Thank you so much. I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.